Okay. There we are. It's live. We are live. Welcome to Digital Cortex.
Oh, shit.
Today's January 17th. It's Tuesday.
Yes, it is.
This is the second podcast of the new year.
The second one, dude. 2023.
Second one.
We're in the 23s now.
Damn.
What does it feel like to be in the 23s, dude?
Same as 22 and 21 and 20.
At first, but then it becomes its own. It will have its own identity. It's still...
I don't know. I feel like 21 and 22 kind of merged together for me a little bit.
Oh, dude. 2020... 2021, 2022.
It's doing fine with the coffee, and all of a sudden I hit record.
Actually, no, 2022 felt different. 2022 felt like there was hope again, because 2020 and 2021 merged together into one fucked up ball of year.
I think you're right. 2020 and 2021 all were kind of the same.
2020 was like everyone's gonna die, and then 2021 we're like we're not gonna die, but shit's not cool. Shit's failing. People are moving. Everyone's working from home. They're trying to figure shit out. Now they're becoming their own people. Like I got this idea. I'm gonna start this. I've always wanted to do this. Like people are figuring shit out, moving around. Like I don't have to be in Silicon Valley anymore. I could live anywhere.
Yeah, and then.
The companies were like, get your ass back in the office, dude.
Get back in here.
Apple, Google, Netflix, Amazon. Everybody was like, get your ass into this building now, or you ain't going to work here no more, you son of a bitch. Maybe not like that, but basically that's what they said. And, some people were like, nah, fuck you. And they actually stood up to the man. And then some people were like, yes, master.
Yes, master.
Yes.
Anything else you...
I will be there soon. I must go. I am being summoned. I was kind of excited. Actually, I will say I didn't look at it that way. I felt like I need to get outside, dude. I need to do something, dude. Working at home's getting weird, man. Like, it is cool. We all get to fuck around and be at home. And kind of felt like we were like doing this like shit together somewhat. But after a while I was like, yeah, dude, I got to see other people's energies. I need to be like around other people's energies.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it's getting weird. Shit's getting weird. We're not meant to be isolated for so long. Years. Isn't it like, haven't you heard about that room that has like no sound?
Yes.
There's like a limit, right? You can only be in that room for so long before your brain like goes crazy with no sound.
I don't think like permanently crazy, but yeah.
I think you can.
There's a point where you just don't feel comfortable anymore and you need to leave.
Yeah, like you start hallucinating and you start to lose your goddamn mind.
Right.
So like our brains are wired for activity. Like it's constantly being stimulated. There's noise, there's birds chirping, there's cars driving by, maybe not hardwired for cars, but just loud noises.
I had the fucking craziest idea about that, really.
That was a good sentence. That's great. Go ahead. Keep going. You paused in weird.
I was just trying to figure out how I was going to phrase this, but all right, so let's start at the beginning. We watched a movie. Okay.
What movie?
That was a fucking great question.
You don't remember it?
I do remember it. It was 3,000 Years of Longing. These are on backwards. Okay.
3,000 Years of Longing?
3,000 Years of Longing. It's a weird movie for sure.
It's like
very interesting though.
A24 or something or what?
Close to that realm, I would say. It's more of like a art piece of a movie.
Okay.
I don't know if it was based on anything. Might have been based on a book. I could totally believe that.
Yeah.
But it was very, very interesting movie. Very good. And we got high, right? right before. Like, we took some edibles and we watched this movie. And so we're sitting there watching the movie. And I come to this realization, which is kind of the theme of the movie anyway. So without giving away the story or anything, it's like the entirety of humankind is built around like life, like the meaning of life in my mind at that moment. I don't know if I still believe all of that, but there is no real life. There's no real you without stories. Think about it, man. We live to listen, to absorb stories from visual context, from books, from podcasts, to just sitting at dinner with the family and talking.
Well, if you think about human history, how we interacted with each other.
That's it too. You just talking about that is a fucking story. Me telling you about this is a story.
That's how information must have been passed on. If you didn't have anything to write things down, you passed it along in stories. So that's what they think a lot of
right. But even before written context, even just verbally, like,
that's what I'm saying, sitting around a campfire.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's just stories.
You would spread stories and talk about, hey, did you know this and that? They made certain information pass through time. That's why that's what I was saying. Like Red Riding Hood is it's a fable. It's a story, right? It's not about any individual, but it's meant for kids, because what happens is that you would most absorb the things that you thought were interesting. And so a kid's story or a kid's tale will pass along through generations because it's interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But beyond the fact that, like, you know, that the story is interesting or what's intriguing and how long that'll live, but like just talking about what you ate for dinner yesterday is a story.
Yeah. Gathering around.
And so try to imagine a world where stories don't exist, enveloping what I just said. You know, like, you wouldn't be able to. How would you communicate with people? Like, our entire world is based off stories.
If you couldn't tell a story,
you couldn't tell a story.
It would just be binary conversation. It would just be straight to the point. I need this. I need that. Get me this. I need this. Like, it would just be flat. You know, those conversations you have, like, where you don't give any information. There
would be like no interest from anybody, right? Like, you couldn't enjoy anything. Because even like painting is a story.
Well, how is that taken away, though? How can you take away painting? I mean, you could.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If we don't have stories, if stories never existed, we wouldn't even have painting.
Well, I don't know about that.
Not anything that means anything. Like, I feel like stories is the basis of everything.
You can give, like, animals. Like, they have that elephant that can, like, paint a mountain or something, you know, like, it's just painting what it sees, right? So, like, it can tell it to paint a car or something, and it can, like.
Right. But the fact that you remember what it is and that's what you're painting is a story.
Some memories.
Yes.
You wouldn't have any memories then.
Right. Because now if you do paint a mountain, other people look at the mountain and they're being told what you've seen. So that becomes a story. So you're right. We wouldn't have any memories.
So this movie's about no stories?
No. The movie's about stories. Oh. The movie pretty much is like about the stories. It's about the stories. It's a big part of the theme of it. Oh. It's more of like a metaphor of stories and life itself and how we all are just stories.
I think a lot of our identity is based on
beginnings and endings.
Well, yeah, because everybody has a story they tell themselves, like, "Oh, I'm a piece of shit," or I'm really smart at this.
Exactly.
I'm really good at this, so
like,
I'm going to do good.
Where would we even be?
Yeah,
without that.
People have identity crisis where they've been telling themselves this like story of themselves to themselves, for so long that's what they believe, and then sometimes that crumbles and the story doesn't make sense anymore. Like, oh, that's why athletes have a problem. They live in a story, right? Where they're a professional athlete. Hey, how you doing? I sign autographs. I go to here. I practice. I do a Gatorade commercial. And then I go to games and people take pictures of me. You know, like, they have a whole life and story. And then when that ends, they have a crisis because now the story of themselves of being a professional athlete is gone. I'm not going to go to arenas anymore. I'm not going to take pictures. Well, I'll probably take pictures, maybe, but then that starts to fade, right? People know you less. And then so your whole story of who you are changes. And then that's why people have breakdowns, because their story changed. They're like, wait,
It's fucking trippy as fuck.
I'm not this story anymore. That was an old chapter in me. And then, it's kind of like the people that have problems like evolving or moving on from things. They really sit, or it could be like you really dig your story. So like when that shit fades, you're like, whoa, what the fuck? That was a good story, dude. I want to live in that story again. Like maybe they didn't really enjoy it as much as they should have.
Do you think somebody somewhere is living me as a story?
That's the story they tell themselves.
That's like some Rick and Morty, like, what was
well,
that?
if you want to get into like, different dimensions and infinite timelines.
You remember when they were playing that video game and it was really just somebody's life?
I haven't seen that episode.
You haven't seen that episode?
I haven't
Rick and
seen
Morty?
a lot of new ones.
It's not new, man. I think it's like first season shit.
Then I seen it.
It's first or second, maybe.
I seen that.
Roy. Remember? It's a life of Roy.
And then
like,
what happens?
Pretty much, they go to this like it's like a Dave and Buster's. They call it Blitz and Chips.
Yeah.
So they go to Blitz and Chips, and Morty sits down to play a game, and it's Roy. Like, I think
they
Rick
get
just
zapped
puts
in.
him on
Yes.
it. And so he's living the life of this guy named Roy, from like being a kid to a high school football star to being like an old man.
You can
working
live a
at
lifetime.
the rug store. Yeah. And then he like just dies.
Yeah.
And so Rick is like, oh, wow, you
just lived a boring life.
You went back to the rug store, Morty.
That's your ending?
That's your end game?
Yeah.
You're the kind of person that goes back to the rug
because he
store?
gets married and then his wife dies.
Yes.
She passed on. Yeah.
And so he's living the life like that,
and then he goes to the same stupid rug store that he worked at
because he
forever.
survived like cancer and shit.
Yeah.
He goes back to the rug store. Rick was all pissed off. And then so Rick plays and everyone's like watching him like do so good at the game. He's like, he's taking Roy off the map. He ain't got a social security card for Roy.
Yeah, people are freaking out because they're seeing the stuff that Rick wants to
crazy. Yeah. Like, that's us, man. We're just some guys
We could be
playing video games.
I mean,
Roy.
that's the simulation theory, that we're in a simulation. So, I mean, that's possible, where somebody's just game. They're watching us. We're just entertainment for other beings.
That's some fucking freaky ass shit.
Wasn't there like some unexplainable object in space that they couldn't figure out what? They just were calling it space debris. It was like a large, like triangle shaped object in space. It was orbiting Earth, but they're like, that's just space debris. But the scientists
there's a lot of shit up there.
There was a scientists that were studying it, and they're like, no, it's not just space debris, because it's moving. It's changing its distance from Earth. Like, it's going back and forth. Like, so they think someone is controlling it, either remotely or there's beings inside of it, and they're just monitoring us.
No way.
You said no.
It's got to be like an orbital thing.
I don't know, man.
There's got to be math involved in figuring this out.
Like, how would you know if anyone told you yes or no? Like, if like, just based on someone's like intelligence, if someone's super smart, you're like, okay, I believe.
All right,
you,
then I would check on Snopes.
Right, and then Snopes. Where's Snopes getting their information?
That says that they have integrity, man.
Yeah.
If we start to question Snopes and we start to question our life and existence as it is, and I'm not there yet. I mean, I think I just talked about that actually.
I'm not about that life, okay?
Maybe we need to change the subject on this. Oh, I have something we could talk about. There's an Ezra Miller update.
Go for it.
Damn. Okay, I gotta find it. So he was recently, or they were recently, at a trial. He pled guilty. They pled guilty in Vermont.
Yeah.
So let's see here. In pleading guilty to breaking into Vermont neighbor's home and stealing alcohol with let's see. And of course, they posted bail, I think, on it.
So what is the charges that he's being brought against him?
So they will have to face agreed to a suspended sentence of, let's make sure I'm not getting anything. Yeah. Suspended sentence of 89 to 90 days in jail for the misdemeanor of unlawful trespass.
Trespassing. Okay.
They will also be fined $500 plus $192 surcharge and be placed on probation for a year.
Okay.
Two charges were dropped, including a felony burglary charge that could have carried a sentence of 25 years in prison.
So they just gave him a plea deal. They're like, take this deal. You can get out of it with probation. Probation's tricky though, man. That shit's not over. Like if you fuck up while on probation, you go to jail.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so I mean, it's the real deal. Like when you got shit against you. How long? How many years? 3 years or something like that? You said.
Oh gosh, how long?
What?
For the 90 days? So it's like 3 months.
Oh, it was just 90-day probation. I thought you said.
Oh, a year probation. Yes,
Yeah.
A year probation, 90 days jail time.
They can get that knocked down though. I think they end up like just doing less time.
I mean, they pretty much just walked away from this.
But 1 year.
But that's just one state. He has other states that he's got to go appear in, right? Because I remember in our Ezra Miller Chronicles that they were running around doing a lot of stuff in multiple different states.
Yeah.
So who knows? Who knows? But I guess that's a quick update.
That's what we know so far.
That's what we know so far.
And he's still Flash.
Yes.
As far as we know. They've never said he's not.
Have you seen anything or watched anything new recently?
I've been really into Nathan For You.
Oh, dude, I love that show.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about that one?
No, we've
No?
never talked about it. I came across it organically.
Nathan For You is the one where he goes and approaches small businesses and gives them like
Dumb Starbucks.
Yes, like dumb Starbucks. When you finish Nathan For You.
I already did.
Okay, good. You need to watch his most recent show. The Rehearsal.
That's what I'm watching now.
Oh, so you're watching The Rehearsal.
Yeah.
The Rehearsal's a fucking mind trip, bro.
They took one of the episodes and turned it into a whole show.
Exactly.
Because he did the rehearsal when he went on the Tonight Show, right? With Jimmy Fallon?
Right.
Or was Jimmy Kimmel? It was one of them. He literally rehearsed exactly what anecdote he was going to say on the show because he was tired of going on the late night shows and not having much stories or
yes,
things
and he
to talk
rehearsed
about.
all that, and
So he
became really
approached it
funny,
like mathematically,
exactly,
and studied all of the
that's
the interviews.
That's what's so interesting about him is that all of that relates back to his old show, the Nathan For You one, you know. But we watched The Rehearsal first. Me and Crystal.
You guys watched that first
because we didn't know about him before that.
Oh, I watched.
So
yeah, that's
we watched
weird
it first.
order.
You don't need to watch in order, but I would say, well, you don't need to watch those two different shows in the order.
I think it works better that way because you
It
get
definitely
a better
does.
feeling.
I would agree, but if you
who he
just
is.
watch The Rehearsal, you don't need anything more than that.
He's just a smart dude that you're like, is he being real or not?
You never know with this guy.
But when you watch him on Nathan For You, you're like, oh yeah, he's fucking around because the whole intro, he's like, I went to business school, I got the highest grades, and then
And
it
if you
says,
like pause on the report
it
card,
says
there,
2.5 on his actual
So
report
stupid.
card, so you know he's being stupid, and like the way he talks to people is so funny. And then I like the experts that they use in Nathan For You.
dude, and then he brings back people, and you can't tell if they're like you know how he brings back that host.
Yeah.
The host
Yeah, he
several
brings him-
times. The host from a dating show. So the episode where he wanted to like find
True love or something.
True love.
Or companionship. I don't know. Something. He was looking to date. he wanted to date, and he said the most efficient way would be to date a bunch of girls at once. So he makes his own reality show.
Reality show.
And hires a host.
To host this mansion. It's like a bachelor type thing.
And they do it exactly like all the other bachelor ones where they show up.
There's like a rose ceremony and all that bullshit. And they've made up his persona of who he is. But then eventually he just like decided that the host was too attractive and all the girls were...
It makes him leave like
he's
mid-sentence.
like, just leave.
But he does it in such an awkward way too.
He's so awkward.
Yeah.
I think that's what, honestly, the rehearsals out of the two shows is my favorite. Because if you keep watching the rehearsal, like how far are you into it?
I watched the first episode.
The first episode. Yeah. Okay. You keep watching, it's supposed to be like this, well, I guess I won't say much
He's
more.
rehearsing life for people.
Yes. So every episode is a different person's case that he's rehearsing, similar to how it was in the small business sphere.
Yeah.
Although as it progresses, it kind of evolves into being something completely different.
I think
and the first episode and the last episode have completely different tones of the journey that you went on with this man. Like it's fucking crazy. The it's just mind-blowingly crazy.
He goes deep.
He goes so fucking deep.
He goes multiple layers. It's like Inception. Like human Inception.
No, bro. It gets deeper than that.
I don't know if you can go deeper than Inception.
I'm telling you, man, it's deeper than that. It's like Inception, but like, Inception is inside Inception.
This is like Quantum Realm Ant-Man, where he's going that many layers down.
Bro. You're going to be fucking tripping balls on how fucking crazy this show gets.
Because Ant-Man goes pretty deep.
I swear it's just that deep.
That dude, I don't know. I think you're over.
I'm not. I wish I were, but I'm not.
The quantum level. How many levels did he go down to?
He goes down so fucking far.
How many levels are there though in Ant-Man?
Ant-Man? Oh, I don't know.
Like when they're
quantum is 4, so I'm guessing 4.
But it's
I would think quantum is 4.
But quantum is not. It's just a blanket term. It's not even what it means.
Yeah, but I mean,
because they say quantum
about it.
They say quantum computing, but that just means crazy fucking computing. Like it. They don't really have like quantum is not a assigned like metric measurement. Like they don't have. They just call things quantum when it goes so fucking deep that they don't have explanation for. So like he's going into like quantum levels, and it's crazy how they keep showing levels when Ant-Man's shrinking more and more. So that's what I'm saying. Like, how many different shrinkable levels do you think there are? Like that you could zoom down into? I don't know. But
that's a crazy thought.
Yeah, because there's like microorganisms that live on microorganisms that live on other like.
Too much. We weren't supposed to be thinking that far in. How did we get here?
Because every organism would have microorganisms inside of their organism, and then their organism would have microorganisms in their organism. Like, wouldn't it just keep infinitely going on?
It's like pi. It's a circle.
Yeah, wouldn't it infinitely go on forever? Yeah, it would never shrink down to nothing. But anyways. But yeah, for Nathan For You, the only thing I'll say is an argument with watching Nathan For You and then rehearsal is that you see the evolution of his show, like how it starts and how like he like started like, and then how it kind of started hitting a groove where he kind of knew what he was doing. He's like, so this is what I'm going to do. Like he was actually really smart. Like the BP one where he did BP gas and it started with alarm. Remember, he wanted to figure out how to send alarms without paying the shipping fees.
Yes.
And then so he figured out that if you have an instrument, you don't have international fees with instruments.
Right.
So then he decided that he was going
to make the alarm
sell
an instrument.
The alarm as an instrument. So then he decided that in order for it to be a legitimate instrument, it needs to be used in a song that people hear. So then he created a band that would use the alarm in a song. So he had to then create a hit song that used alarm sound in it. And then in order
and so on and so on and so on and so on.
In order for the band to be to get press, because he tried to go to the radio station and they wouldn't play the song because it sounded stupid because it had an alarm sound in it. So then he posted a fake position for BP gasoline media relations.
Oh yes, because he needed to create a controversy that the song could be written about.
Yes. So then he created a town hall because he found where BP was drilling and the whole town hated it. So he went to that town and had a town hall.
And he hired like an actor as a spokesperson.
As the spokesperson for BP's media relation. And then they stole the hit song that they made for one of their fake commercials that he showed to everybody in the town hall.
So that they can create a controversy that the song, they used it for something that wasn't intended to. And then people would go and download the song.
Yeah.
Which they did.
And then he got the band to give away free gas in front of one of Shell's gas station to get them on the news.
Yes. So they bought a bunch of gas. They gave it away for free just so they could be on the news to talk about their song.
Yeah.
And that's how it went viral.
So the news station showed up and was like, "Oh, you guys are giving free gas," and like, "Yeah, we just care about the environment, man." And then like so it created a whole it was so.
So what has been your favorite? Is this your favorite episode from that show?
No, the favorite episode from that show was the last one, because that's what I was gonna say. If you watch the evolution of it, it literally ends with the last episode being about one of his first hired actors that he hired for as a Bill Gates impersonator.
Yes, so they take the Bill Gates impersonator, find his
ex-love
that
he keeps bringing up literally all the time. He just shows up to their office. He actually kept in contact with them. Like he kept showing
up and everything.
Give him free stuff. He would just hang out. He'd be in the lobby. He wouldn't even have a job. He would just be there, just hanging out because he had nothing to do. And
they delved into this man's life.
They went so deep, and they actually had him practicing his interaction with his old girlfriend, and they went over and over and over and over.
Like they brought him to get him to call her and everything.
Yeah.
And it delved into this like psychological arc of this man to like find out if what
like
was
an old love. Like you see.
Yeah, but it was more than like an old love for him. It was like a whole entire like psychological break that he had in himself. Yeah.
It was a story. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It was a story that he's been saying. He kept repeating it to Nathan. He kept saying, "Oh, I really wish I would have married, so I forgot her name, like Christine or something. She was the love of my life, and my mom didn't like her and didn't want me to marry her and this and that." And he's like, "I really should have did it." And, you can just see like this. You can put yourself in like, oh man, as a young man, you make decisions and you never know how it's going to pan out when you're 60 or 70 years old, and how life ended up turning out, which was crazy because you just get involved and then the episode's so long, it just kept going on and I was like, where is this going? Like I had no idea how this was going to play out.
That's right.
It literally
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, that literally is the last episode of the Nathan For You, which then goes into rehearsal. So if you watch that and then her rehearsal, you're like, oh, this is exactly what the last episode of Nathan For You was. It was the rehearsals and all the actor and talking, and they went over and over, and they even made him play the girlfriend, and then the actor played him talking to him and how he would talk, back and stuff like that. So that rehearsing. Like once you start watching the rehearsal, you're like, oh, that's what they're doing that. Like those little bits and pieces they were messing with in Nathan For You, they just turned that into a whole show, which he really is a smart dude. Like he really does think about like everything. Like when you could see the evolution of it.
That's the kind of thing like I think about for the rehearsal is because he had to like the stuff that happens in that show. I don't know. There had to been a whole thought process for it.
No, he has a crazy diagram of all scenarios. Remember for that guy's trivia night,
right?
Like
I guess what I can't really talk about the rehearsal until you finish it because there's so much more to it. That's beyond the concept of the show.
No. Yeah, it's interesting. He has a different type of humor than any other people you might see on TV. It's not that unique. I mean, there's definitely smart dudes that think like that and have like a dry comedic sense when it comes to like interactions, but his awkwardness is like what sends it to like the next level, and you don't really get it at first. Sometimes, at least I didn't at first. I was like, why the fuck am I watching this? Like that was literally one of the thoughts in my head. I was like, because I had come across it, and then I remembered some conversation I had heard about Nathan For You from like I don't know who I was talking to, but they brought him up that they watched it, and I was like, that sounds weird. Like it stuck out because it was such a weird name, Nathan For You. Like that name alone stuck out. So I was like, what the hell is this? And then when you're watching the show, you're like, oh shit, this was like a thing. Like it was actually pretty big at one point.
Yeah.
Because if he's getting on Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel and all that, like.
Well, I mean, it had to have been big enough to, you know.
I missed it. I missed it all. I never saw him on Jimmy. I mean, I don't watch those late night shows enough to catch it. But
that show though was also on like syndication, right?
Yeah, Comedy Central. Like it was one of their big shows. So I feel like it's so weird how I missed every opportunity of watching this dude's show, and then I come across it now.
It's because we've been in the streaming for so long, man. Streaming
helped bring the show back.
Yes.
Because I missed it. You know, before when the show was on, it was all about time slots. You got to catch it. You got to catch it at the right time.
Where did I end up watching this show? I think I checked it out on Hulu.
Yeah. So it came up on some search I was doing, and I was like, oh, I recognize the name. I was like, oh yeah, I remember.
I swear I talked to you about Nathan For You before in the rehearsal. Because like,
no,
it was a big part of our like daily watch routine was watching this show because it was just so fucking crazy.
We never talked about the rehearsal because I didn't even know he had a second show on after Nathan For You until it started coming up on my For You. It started popping up on my list because I was watching Nathan For You, and I was like, oh, look, he's on that show too. So then I was like, well, I guess I'm watching that next after this. I didn't know how many seasons I was going to get into, but yeah, he has definitely funny angles to things. Not conventional angles. Like he wanted to like help that taxi service. So he was like, you know what we should do? He's like, what generates more media than having a baby in the back seat of a car?
Yeah, that's right.
So then he's like, let's advertise that we'll give free rides to pregnant women that are like in their third trimester or whatever. And so did you see that later on in his episodes, he was like, Uber did that. Uber did the exact, they ripped him off of his show. They started offering discounted rides to pregnant women. And they literally started using his advertisement. So then he sent a cease and desist to them to get them to stop. Like, and he tried to threaten them that he was going to have incels infiltrate Uber and like start getting bad ratings.
He tried to pull down Uber.
Yeah. All based on a previous episode that he had. Yeah, it was, dude, he is, what is he doing now? Because the rehearsal's not on anymore, right? Didn't they stop making episodes?
Yeah, they had to.
Oh, well, yeah, based on whatever happens in the show that I'm not going to talk to you about. Yeah. But I mean, he's got to do something else. It doesn't have to be the rehearsal.
That was just so soon, though. I doubt we're going to see anything.
Oh, really?
Immediately. Rehearsal came out in 2022.
Was it? I thought it was
last year. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was like a 2020 or 2021 or something.
Let's see here what he is working on.
He's never been in any movies or anything. Like, he could play such an awkward like character in a movie. He's got the awkward down. Let's
see. I think he does more writing than he does acting, though.
Oh, so he's writing for TV shows?
Yeah, he's wrote for movies and stuff.
Oh, he's wrote scripts?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. What's his full name? Nathan. Oh, Nathan Fielder. Duh.
The rehearsal.
Yeah, I don't imagine they're going to do it.
Yeah, everyone's just still talking about the rehearsal. So we're not sure what he's going to do next.
Okay. Well, I'm sure he's got something cooking.
He has done a lot of things.
Like assistants and writing and stuff like that. Yeah, he is a funny dude.
Let's see. On his Wikipedia, some of the memorable career moves.
I like when he's generally surprised because you'll see him crack. He'll actually like crack a smile or something when he's surprised that someone's saying something.
Oh, he did. He was in some movies as an actor as well.
Yeah, I could see him as an awkward character. He'd be perfect. Like a nerdy dude, awkward dude, socially awkward. Yeah, he'd work.
Yeah, I guess he's just doing a lot of acting stuff. So he's co-creator, writer, and director, and he's got a main role in this new series actually coming up called The Curse. And The Curse is an upcoming American comedy television series created and written by Nathan Fielder and Benny Safdie and starring Emma Stone. Fielder and Safdie. The series filmed from June to October of 2022 and will premiere on Showtime.
Oh, see, there you go. He's got a Showtime show coming out. So I knew he was coming with something, man. He does seem like
What's the premise? The series will explore how an alleged curse disturbs the relationship of a newly married couple as they try to conceive a child, while co-starring on their problematic new HGTV show.
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever it is, it's fine. I do like. I mean, that sounds more like a either comedy drama or something. But I like his kind of realistic kind of. I wouldn't call it like so much. I mean, I guess it's pretty much reality TV because I mean, there's a lot of reality TV that's scripted, but the Nathan For You was such a funny blend of like scripted and non-scripted. You know, his part, what he was going to do was kind of scripted, but then whatever kind of conversations he would get into with the, public or just people around would be interesting because that would be not scripted. He would have to just kind of have these interactions and then see what happens and then go from there. But you can see how he would just he would evolve conversations depending on what they said or how it was going or what was happening with the scenario. If it was working, if it was not working, would he pivot? Would he continue on the scenario? Would he start going down a different road? Like, it would all depend on what that interaction told him or how the plan was going accordingly. And he would adjust. He would make adjustments and be like, well, now we got to do this or now we got to do that.
Well, it's funny because one of my favorite episodes, I think, was the one where they were giving away free gas.
Yeah, the BP one.
No, it was like
you're not free gas, discounted
gas. Yes.
Yeah, and they had to go to the top of the mountain. That was funny.
Yeah, they had to hike all the way to the top of the mountain. He wasn't sure if people were actually going to go, but he had like a whole plan for everything that went down. And like, we saw that he had a plan to try to get the idea in your head is get these people so annoyed, fucked up that they want to leave. But if we're really looking at it, his plan from the beginning wasn't to get them to leave. That was just a benefit. His plan was to get them to bond so much that they no longer cared about the discount.
Yeah, he had a pivot. And then they turned into a whole camp.
I don't even think he pivoted. I think that was the point altogether from the beginning. And he just didn't tell us that.
Maybe.
That was the point, was to get them so for everybody listening who doesn't know what the hell this episode is about. His show, again, is trying to get small businesses to be profitable and help them.
Or increase or whatever they're profit, trying to do.
Yeah. So he's talking to a gas station owner and he says, what we need is to give people a discount on the gas. And if we give them a large discount, it'll draw news and everything. People will come here. But we'll put it all in a fine print. And it'll be super legal and we'll print it on the receipt and everything. Then in order to do the discount, you have to blah, 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 go up to this mountain to retrieve your discount, like to mail in the rebate.
Yeah.
And then we will get the discount. So he hid a mailbox slot all the way up on top of a mountain to put in your rebate form.
Yeah.
So that you can then get the discount. And part of the terms and conditions in here was that you had to do trivia at the top of the mountain. And so it was like a scavenger hunt and a trivia hunt. And so he kept having them go on and on and on and on to go through all this little scavenger hunt clues to find this box at the top of the mountain. And through it all, it was getting late and stuff. So he had like prepared a campsite for them too. So he was hoping, the idea was to keep them going on this wild goose chase to find this box at the top of the mountain.
To turn in the rebate.
And so at the end of it, he gets them on a campfire. They're eating s'mores. He gets them to sing.
These people were just lonely.
Yes.
Because who has the time to be doing all this, like?
Right. Because the people, like, they said they were going for it at first. There's a van that was going to take them all the way up there.
They had to take a van.
They had to take a van with strangers. And then they came, like, they would go and then they come back to go, like, they argue with the guy at the front desk and him, and they would explain the terms and conditions, and then they would say that. Some people would just leave all pissed off. Some people were like, okay, well, I'll be back and I'm going to do it because I'm going to get my $22. And the amount of money that these people were up there for, like guy was up there for like $1.12 or some shit like that. Ridiculous. Like, would you really complaining over $1, man? Like, they got you at that point.
Yeah.
But the whole idea that we as a viewer think that we're watching is him trying to get these people so frustrated that they just forget about it and leave. But at the end of it all, these people, they slept together. He did like pranking on them in the middle of the night, the boys' tent versus girls' tent. They sang some songs. They told stories about their personal life. They cried together. They hugged together. And at the end of it, he made this big old speech the next morning after they cooked breakfast together that, even with this rebate and stuff, if it wasn't for this rebate, we wouldn't have been close as we are now. Like, we've created and become friends and there's a community, blah, 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 blah. And so at the end of it all, the people just wanted to walk down the mountain happy about their experience and joyful about their experience. And he was like, you sure you don't want to go through the last riddle? He's like, no, we're fine. We don't want to. And he's like, okay. And the last riddle did take you to the box that they all walked past. It was right there.
Yeah, they were literally standing.
They were camped right next to it.
Yeah.
Everybody had forgotten about it and didn't care about it anymore. They didn't care about their rebate anymore. But at the end of it, it's like he planned out that whole scenario. He planned out everything that would make these people try to come together and be friends at the end. so much so that they forget about the rebate. So it wasn't really a plan to annoy people to not want to do the rebate, but it was a plan to get them to focus on something so much different that they no longer wanted the rebate at the end of the thing. And he succeeded.
I think that's one theory, but the only thing is, like, thinking from a logical standpoint, he doesn't know if anybody will even stay. There's a good chance that...
Right. There's a good chance. And that would, like I said, that's just the benefit of annoying people so much, is that
he just
didn't
found
want to
the
stay.
loneliest
And some people just
people.
walked out.
He found the loneliest people.
I mean, he didn't cherry pick them. They came to the gas station. They decided to go up the mountain.
No, I'm not saying he found them literally. I'm saying he found them.
Yeah, but at the end of it, he knew it had to be people who literally had nothing else to do.
Yeah, he found them through this process. Like, because only the loneliest of the lonely would stay that long. Like, there was a lot more people, and they're like, nah, dude, I got shit to do. I got to go. You know, like, they got off that fucking mountain. They had a hike, like, for 45 minutes or something. How long did it take to get up that damn mountain? It didn't take like an hour or something. I forgot how long it took. It took a while. It took like more time. Like, if you told me a 20-minute hike, I think most people would do it. It wasn't an amount that didn't sound reasonable, and people still got in the van, and then they started hiking. Some fell off. Some churned back. Some, when it started getting dark, they left. Like, there was a lot more people to start. And then by the end, it was like 4 people, I think, right? That ended up lasting.
Yeah, I think it was like 4 or 5 people.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. He found the loneliest of the lonely through his like filters that he had on there. Because, yeah, nobody would do that for gas, dude. Most people, when they told them they had a hike, they're like, fuck you. And they just walked out of the gas station. That was...
Oh, dude, do you remember? I think it was the first one with the hamburger.
The hamburger, the best burger.
The best burger
in town or something.
In Los Angeles.
In Los Angeles, yeah. And he would pay you $100.
If you really didn't like it, he was going to pay you out of his own pocket.
If you could approve, or if you could say to him that it was not the best burger you've ever had, he would pay you $100.
And so you would think, okay, just lie.
And you could tell some people were.
But he would like ask them questions and start like telling them that and trying to get them to change their mind. And some people were just like, yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it because I don't like this. This burger's bad for this reason, this reason, this reason.
Yeah.
And then so he started fucking messing with them, guilt tripping them. He's like, okay, I mean, no, the money's got to come somewhere. So that's fine.
He's like, well, you took a couple bites. So yeah,
you must have liked it.
You liked some of it, didn't you? And like, he would just keep going on and on. Yeah, he would make it real awkward with some people.
And
some people would just...
Then he would do this. So he would bring out the cook. He'd be like, Luis, yeah, we're gonna have to let you go. What? And he'd do it in front of the people. He's like, they didn't like the burger.
Ladies. Yeah.
And so we can't afford to pay you because we have to give them $100.
Yeah, so you got to go home now.
So you'll have to go home now. And they'll be like, this guy's job, man. You can't do that. It's like, I mean, we have to pay you. You didn't like the burger. You cooked the burger.
Well, you said you didn't like it, right?
You didn't like it.
Yeah. He would guilt him.
I mean, it wasn't that bad, though. Oh, so you do like it?
But he ended up paying out a lot, though.
He did. He lost a lot of money.
He paid a lot.
He lost a lot
didn't show everybody.
Of HBO's money. Or Comedy Central or whoever.
Yeah, the budget, whatever they had.
Whoever gave him that money.
But yeah, I mean, money well spent. He got to fuck with people all day long. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he definitely does weird stuff and gets weird results. You know, and I think that's all like in his experiments. Like, they're just like, basically they're human trials, human experiments that he's doing. He's doing, like, have you ever seen, there's a show, it's like on NBC, What Would You Do? Or something like that. Have you ever heard of that show? And it's basically these social scenarios, like you see, like you're in a diner and mother and father are there with their son and they're telling him how bad he is, and they keep yelling at him and they're telling him that you know, he's not gonna amount to anything. You know, they just keep putting him down. And then the parents, for some reason, they always create a scenario where
this does sound so familiar.
The parents leave, and then the people around them be like, "Hey, man, you know, keep your head up. You know, I know you didn't do good on your last project, but you just hang in there, and he's trying to create these social scenarios with actors. Same thing like Nathan for you, but he always puts the vulnerable in a position where the people unbeknownst are able to speak with them, like, because most people in society will not interrupt a couple or a mother talking to their daughter or something like that. They won't. There is scenarios like they would play ones where, hey, be nice, maybe you should talk to her. Not, there is certain people that break that code, but for the most part, they don't. And so they always have a scenario where one parent or both parents leave, and then they're able to just talk to the vulnerable or the person that's supposed to be the focal point of the experiment to see how people interact. Do they help? Do they say, here's some money? You'll see Good Samaritan give money to somebody, or, hey, you just put those groceries on my tab. I'll pay for it. Because there's a mother that's, they always create these scenarios and they just want to see how do people interact. And they'll even talk to people that don't interact. Like, hey, I saw you like kind of wincing, but you didn't say anything. They catch people's like little interactions that they have. Like, I could see you talking to your wife about what was happening, but you didn't go over there. Why is that? And they'll ask them questions like, why didn't you do that? Or why didn't you say something in that moment? You could have said something, and they're like, well, I didn't want to, interrupt what they were doing, or, hey, it was kind of awkward and I didn't feel like it was the right place to say something. And then there's other people like, I had to say something. I couldn't just sit there anymore and listen anymore. I had to get up. And they're like, there's some people that are like compelled to like break the stereotypes or the culture and go do something out of the ordinary. So it was always interesting. So I remember that show, and I got into that. And then when I started watching Nathan For You, I was like, oh, these are kind of like similar. We're doing the same things. Who's going to sit in the norms and who's going to break the norms of what usually happens in scenarios like this? So yeah, he's really good at putting people in awkward positions and then finding the weird. He finds the weirdest, interesting like people that he uses.
It's true
in his experiments.
Yeah. I mean, if we take anything away from this conversation, is just go watch those shows. They're really good.
They're reality based. There's some scriptedness to it because it's a TV show, but it's a mixture. It's like reality. It's like kind of a sitcom-ish kind of take. And then you do get a feel like you're in some kind of social experiment. So like, yeah.
I just feel like sometimes the audience is a social experiment.
Well, that's like a deeper like way to think of a life, And then we can go back to simulation theory again.
Let's not do that anymore. Oh, shit. We should move on to something. Oh, you know what? Here's a totally different show that's not mind-provoking at all. We were watching if you remember that movie? The one about the vampires? Interview with a Vampire.
Yeah, you told me there was a TV show.
The TV show.
Yeah.
We've been watching that TV show. It's been really good.
Yeah.
Really interesting. If you guys don't know the 90s show, or the 90s movie, The Interview with the Vampire.
Tom Cruise
and Brad Pitt.
And what's it? Slater too, right?
Yes, Christian Slater.
Yes.
And also
Antonio Banderas.
Isn't it?
Yeah, remember? He has long hair.
Yes.
Yeah.
But no, I'm thinking about the girl.
Kristen Dunst.
Yeah. Yes.
That was her debut, man.
Yeah. As a little child.
She was awesome.
She did good.
Scary.
Very scary.
Do they have a kid vampire in the new one?
Yes, but they age him up just like they did in the movie. So they're based on the books, right? So Anne Rice, I believe, is the author.
Yeah.
She has been making these books for like a long time. She's like 17 or something. It's probably been decades.
Well, because you went like...
It's probably been decades, yeah. I think she started writing them in the 70s or something, or 80s.
Okay.
And they've been like writing the stories for these this series of books, The Vampire Chronicles, I think is what it's called. And they actually made a couple movies. So Interview with the Vampire is the first book and is the first movie that's been made off of her series.
Yeah.
There's been another movie made from her book series following the same characters, if you did not know. And that's Queen of the Damned.
I never saw it.
You've never seen Queen of the Damned?
I remember when it came out, it had like Aaliyah. Was Aaliyah in it? Yeah.
Aaliyah was in it. She played the vampire queen.
I remember that, but I never watched it.
That's a good one. I
Was
really
it?
like Queen of the Damned. Yes.
And that was based on the same characters?
Yes, because it's a different book. So
But it had Tom Cruise and
No.
Brad Pitt's
it did
characters?
not have, it had the same characters, not the same actors.
Yeah, not the same actors, but I'm saying it
One
had
of the same characters, Lestat, the vampire known as Lestat.
Which one was he?
He is the Tom Cruise's vampire.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Now, the new Interview with the Vampire TV series that is on AMC Plus.
AMC has Plus?
Yeah,
God damn it.
I know.
Another Plus?
Yeah.
Jeez. What is there, 50 streaming services that I gotta?
I think it's like 25.
So many.
But this one, so in the books, the Kristen Dunst character,
Yeah.
that child vampire, was 5.
Okay.
Kristen Dunst played her as 10, I think 10 or 9 or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And in this one, they play her as 14, I think.
Oh, is that what you meant by aged up?
Yes, they aged her up.
Because I was like, I thought
Because like you try to get a 5-year-old to do some of the stuff like that's in this, because the premise is that the vampire child ages mentally, but not physically.
Yeah. So they're stuck in this body.
They're stuck in physical form of a 5-year-old turned into a vampire,
which is pretty messed up.
but they're mentally, they age and they learn and they knowledge and this grows. So they could be like the age of a 21-year-old woman trapped in a 5-year-old's body.
Yeah.
And that's like the premise. And that's what we see in like the Kristen Dunst portrayal of it. You know, she's like bringing bodies home and shit like that. You know, like fucking kooky.
Yeah.
Same thing in this series. And I think it plays so good as a series. And I would recommend watching it. And I don't want to like give too much away, but they did things that are different from the movie. And that's the only perspective I have. But after watching this, I really want to like read the books.
So do you need to watch Queen of the Damned to watch this?
No. Start with this. Don't even worry about anything else that's been done media wise from her books. You can either just go read her books, because I'm sure they're fucking fabulous, or just watch this TV show, Interview with the Vampire. And Rice's Interview with the Vampire is what it's called.
On AMC Plus.
On AMC.
Get it now.
The thing about it too,
Are they still doing Walking Dead?
I don't know.
You got AMC Plus, dude. It's got to be advertised.
I don't have AMC Plus.
Well, I mean, whatever you got,
But it doesn't advertise stuff like that.
No? They don't play a little advertising?
No, I give my stuff to the different sources, man.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that right now?
No.
I'm just kidding. I know. You didn't have to say that.
But yeah, I don't know if they're still doing Walking Dead. But I do know that some things in this show that we've been watching has been really intriguing. There's a lot of like, my own perspective is the movie. So I'm not sure if this is the way it is in the show or in the book that it is in the show. But in the movie, we follow Christian Slater's younger like reporter in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
And he's interviewing Louis I forgot the vampire's name. It's Louis something.
You said it. You told me his name, and then
no, and then there's another one. There's Lestat, the vampire Lestat.
I thought Lestat was.
So there's Lestat.
Oh wait, no, he's interviewing.
He's interviewing Louis. Brad Pitt.
He does interview Lestat too.
I don't know. Does he?
Yeah, at the very end.
I think at the very end,
Remember
he's not interviewing Lestat, but Louis finds Lestat.
No, remember he's like, oh, he just bores me, just on and on about the same thing. And it's Tom Cruise talking, and then he's like, you want to interview? And then he like starts talking to him, He's like, I'll take you back to this.
Yes. Okay. You're right. They did do that at the end
That's how it ends, as him
with his story.
Him starting to talk about
like he seeked him out and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the way that this new story starts off is that it's now like so many years later. It's like modern time, 2020.
So they made it all the modern time. They're still alive.
And that original one, I think, happened in like the 80s.
Yeah.
So
payphones.
The vampire seeks the interviewer out again. And the original interview never went out. And meeting with Lestat thing never happened. But in this one, they referenced the fact that there was an original interview that took place, way back then.
Okay. In the 90s.
Yes. And Louis was upset of the way that interview was going. And so he stopped it and didn't continue on with it. And so the interviewer went on to have his own career and shit like that later. And then, of course, now he's being summoned by this vampire and he's reluctantly ready to go with it. But I guess like he even bit him because he was so angry.
Yeah, that's how that movie ends. He bites Christian Slater.
But it was Louis who gets bit. Louis bites Christian Slater.
That was Tom Cruise.
In the way it's being portrayed in this one.
Oh, in the show.
Louis bit him.
Okay.
Like our Christian Slater, quote unquote, the interviewer, which I'm forgetting his name too, but he never interviewed Lestat. He's never seen her. The only vampire he's ever talked to has been Louis. And Louis wants this published because he feels like it's an important time in the world for it right now. And so it talks about his origins in New Orleans.
Okay.
And it talks about him. Actually, they've changed ethnicity from the movie. Louis is not some rich white guy. He's a rich black man. And so it talks about his struggles being a black man in New Orleans and also being, pretty wealthy as a business owner.
Yeah.
And gets into his businesses of like, he owns a whorehouse and pretty much that kind of shit. And how he meets Lestat, and it delves more into his personal life as a human before he becomes a vampire. And also how, it churned from him to like, it talks about him not only being, they switched up as him being a black man, but they also made him gay. So he's a gay black man. And I'm not sure if that was originally it in the books, because I didn't read the books, but it works so well here, like the progression of his character and everything from that. And they do some fucking dark shit in this movie. Like, they're not afraid to show you some crazy ass fucking shit. There's one point in the movie where the vampire
movie,
the TV show.
Well, hold on. Do you want to tell this, or you want to?
Yeah, no, I'm fine.
No, I'm not you're
spoil.
Fine.
No. It's semi-spoiler free.
I'm
going to say something that happens, but I'm not going to say what characters do.
You like to spoil, do you? You like to tell the little details.
This has been out for a while.
See, look at you,
so
man.
I'm not like afraid to say it.
You love to spill the beans. Like,
look, there's this part in it once where the vampire is, attacking some people, and there's a vampire attacking some people, and one of the persons is like going to run away and shit, and so the vampire goes and stops him, and then what do you think the vampire does to stop them? Does he like suck his blood? What does he do
to stop people from
running away? Like, this guy's been run out the door.
I mean, does this vampire have flight? He could just fly.
Yeah. So you think he flies over to that guy?
Just some of them have super speed. Can he run in front of them and stop them?
Yes, slow down time pretty much, and he's running over there faster than that guy did.
I guess he could do a blow dart. He could blow dart him to sleep.
Sure could. Yeah. What do you think he does?
He pulls out a Tommy gun. He goes, ta, 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 ta.
And you would think, like, the way they set it up is like he's probably going to jump on him and bite him and suck his blood out, right? Because that's what vampires do. Or maybe like snap his neck and it's like, oh, or grab him and throw him back, and this guy's like hurt now, and then he goes and suck his blood. What's like the last thing you think he'd do?
Make him a cake. I don't know.
So in the realm of violence, he punches
A hole in him?
a hole through his face from the back. So
they're
from the
trying to-
back of his head, fist straight through face, and just we see the explosion of face because we're seeing it from the front.
So they're turning into the
We're
boys.
seeing it from the front. Yeah.
This is the boys
Like
now.
it's getting there. So we see it from the front as our camera angle of this man, and then a fist just pop right through his face and just face everywhere.
Whoa.
I know.
Did you hear about? Excuse me. Took a rip of that. Did you hear about the new season of The Boys? They're saying it's going to be the bloodiest, gruesomest.
Yes, I read about that a while
Season.
back.
Yeah, that's coming out. They're saying they're taking it to the next level, which I thought they couldn't take it to the next level with what you described, with the whole jumping into
God.
the exploding.
Have you watched that?
I never did. You told me. You
Can
described
you just
it.
watch The Boys, man?
No, I've seen at least 2 seasons, but I didn't see that.
Oh, you haven't
season.
got to that part yet. Because
No.
that's season 3, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to understand what these dudes are up to. But yeah, I didn't see that scene when it came out. And then you told me about it, and I was like, whoa, hey-o. Hey. Yeah, that was some gnarly stuff, dude. And that was kind of getting some press. Like there was like major, like the scene and the boys, you know, and then now
Boys is pushing limits, man.
yeah, and now they're doubling down and say, "Oh, it's gonna be even worse than what you guys thought we could do." So they're double, tripling down, dude, on what they're doing over there, which is interesting. So they got my attention. That article got my attention for sure. So whatever marketing genius thought to do that, it worked on me because now I'm
Oh my God.
Now I'm thinking about finishing this up.
You need to finish that up. Finish the rehearsal up. Finish those 2 things and then talk to me.
I got a lot of stuff to. I don't know if any of this is going to get finished.
And then you need to get an AMC Plus account.
Right. And then I start watching Walking Dead, and I'm going to start from season 1 with Shane and Rick, and they were boys, and they were helping each other out, and they did actually.
Oh my God. Fucking Shane. Holy
And
shit.
Shane
That was a long time ago, man.
Shane season 2 is still one of my favorite seasons of any TV show and character. He was intense, but he was adapting to the world faster than everyone else could.
Shane would be fucking amazing in more recent Walking Dead.
Well, yeah,
Storyline.
because everybody is Shane now. Nobody takes shit from anybody, and people have to die, and everybody realizes that, and they just move on now.
There's like a point where you see that these people lose their humanity.
Well, do you lose your humanity, or are you in survival mode?
I guess you're right, but I mean, like, it was after the prison. Like, how far in Walking Dead did you get? You got to where they were in
I
prison,
saw the
right?
prison. Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw
It was
Egan.
after the prison when they get to Alexandria. Like, that's when you knew these people were different. They were
and then
definitely
Rick
different
became
people.
Shane.
Oh, Rick
Yeah.
became worse than Shane, I would think. At some points.
Probably. But I'm just saying, like, he arced into that, but, you know, Shane was just ahead of his time.
I have no idea where Walking Dead is now.
I don't
stopped.
know either.
I stopped after Alexandria fell.
I feel like a lot of people did. And I don't know why, what happened to the show, or what made.
And I was willing to stay because I remember the comic version of like these people that they lived with the zombies. Like they would put the zombies, they would wear zombie skin over themselves, and they'd be able to walk and blend in with the zombies because of the smell.
That's always a good theory. Like, how good are they at detecting fakes?
Not
You
good
know.
at all, according to this. Not
Well,
good at all.
Yeah, according to most zombie movies or shows where they talked about blending in, like Shaun of the Dead. Remember, they just were like, ooh, they're just making noises. They didn't even really do anything to their face or change their
I
look.
mean, I don't think we could take Shaun of the Dead as serious zombie talk, though.
It's just zombie culture. I'm just saying, like, a part, if any movie has mentioned,
I don't think
like,
anybody has done it seriously other than Walking Dead, like blending in with the zombies.
they blended in a little on the Zombieland. Zombieland was doing it.
Did they? How did they do it?
Bill Murray. That's in the first one, in the first Zombieland.
Oh yeah, he says he
dressed
up, and so it was like visually.
He said it's easier that way. I can go out, I can play golf, I can do whatever I want.
But I don't know. That felt more of like a joke than a real thing that could happen.
No, he said he was definitely serious. He was playing golf.
I know it was serious for it, but we didn't see.
I don't know what.
Nobody ever used it in a scene that we saw for survival. Is what I'm saying.
No, I'm just mentioning anytime they've talked about blending in. And it's always the zombies are fooled.
Right.
Yeah. They're not very good at detecting anything. There's other ones too. I think they do some of that in that one zombie romantic one, where he has a heartbeat. His heart comes back to life.
Oh, that's the Romeo and Juliet one with zombies.
Yeah.
Warm Bodies.
Warm Bodies.
Yeah, and that's a good one.
Yeah. Well, that one they were a little bit better at detecting. Remember? Because he becomes real again and they fucking jump him. Remember those fucking Skeletor ones? The fast ones? Yeah, his heart starts beating and they're like, oh, fuck. So they get attacked right away by those elite ones. The dumb ones seem to like still be confused or didn't catch on, but those ones could fucking hear a heartbeat or something.
And he had a zombie friend too, which is nice.
Yeah, they would just go to the counter and go, that was their conversations, different dude. But they got it though. That's what was awesome. They knew their own language. So they had to they were so dumb, but they still invented a language for themselves so they could understand each other. But yeah. What are we at, dude? I think
we're an hour and 11 minutes.
That's about right, man.
We got a lot done.
Sometimes
today.
You feel like when it's the time.
Yeah, you can feel it.
You can feel an hour come.
You can feel it.
And I think that's good.
That's good. So then I guess that's it then. We are Digital Cortex. My name is Steven. This is Random Styles. And hope you all have a good night.
Yeah.